And now, please welcome the President and Chief Executive Officer of the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, Dr. Tonya M. Matthews.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't noticed, I'm going to start with thank yous. Some really important shout outs. First to the team at the museum. Family is given, it's a blessing, it's sent to you, but teams are chosen. And the International African American Museum team has been chosen well. And it is my honor and privilege to lead us. Thank y'all. To the members of the board who have supported and championed this team, thank you. To all the pastors and the congregations, the rabbis and imams, and any of the faithful who have prayed for us in any way, especially if you prayed away today's rain, thank you. To all the dignitaries of the diaspora who have come here to celebrate with us today, thank you. To all the donors, charter members, and supporters from $2 million to $2, thank you. To the advisors and builders, to the shouters and whisperers, to the gentle nodders and the sharp tonguers who sat in meeting after meeting, after meeting after meeting, after meeting to bring us to this moment in this way, thank you. To all who answered the call to be with us today, what up, Marion Square? Thank you. To the ancestors, thank you. To my mommy, to my daddy, to my family, and to my God, thank you. The mission of the International African American Museum is to honor the untold stories of the African American journey at one of our nation's most sacred sites. And we are here to place that African American story in its full context from 300 BCE to 2023 and counting. We are here today at this hallowed site to reclaim a piece of the site of Gadsden's Wharf and reimagine it as a space to tell one of the greatest stories of human struggle and triumph of all time. We are here to honor the untold story of the African American journey. Untold, unspoken, hidden, refused, denied, erased, buried, buried. The challenge with trying to bury a story is that stories are seeds. And seeds sprout, gentle as roses that might invite you to lean in. They sprout as determined as dandelions that will break through the cracks in your concrete. Seeds sprout as relentlessly as vines that will climb a wall no matter the height. As unimaginable as a saguaro cactus blooming in sun so hot, it would instantly wither a lesser plant. Seeds that sprout powerfully and powerfully connected as oak trees that have survived generation after generation of hurricane and still remember to reach across the way and connect to the branches of their sister and brother oaks. These stories, our stories, this history is seed, and it has been germinating for centuries. Let me tell you a bit about what you are looking at, what is surrounding us, and I invite those from afar to imagine with me. You are looking at ingenuity. If you're in front of me right now, look at your feet. That is not just concrete, that is tabby. Tabby made by burning oyster shells to create lime and mashing them with water and sand and ash and broken shells, all of the things that you would find at the coast. And when I looked up tabby in the encyclopedia to try to find out more information, it simply said, tabby's origin is African but unstudied. You are looking at heritage. To my right and to my left, we have replicas of wrought iron gates that adorn this building, a butterfly, a fish. Now, there once was a man called Philip Simmons. Now, Philip Simmons was a master blacksmith, but they are not born, they are created, they are taught, and starting at the age of 13, Mr. Simmons learned from Peter Simmons, a former slave, and before Mr. Simmons left us, he passed this on to his nephew, Carlton Simmons, and those are the gates that you are looking at. You are looking at heritage. You are looking at truth, tragedy, and triumph. If you look to my right, we see two black granite walls, rough on the outside, polished so smooth on the inside, you can see your own reflection. In between those walls, a series of kneeling and hunched figures representing those we lost in the storage house that once sat on that spot. Some were sold, some were taken, some simply died waiting for their price to go up. And then we have the audacity to inscribe on the outside of that Maya Angelou's poem, And Still I Rise. You are looking at connection. Do you see these trees and these grasses, from date palms to sweet grass to African irises? You are looking at connection, all of the connections that we have brought with us to this day. Above you is the building that will hold and tell the stories. And at your back is the water. Water is a powerful thing. It can carry, it can bury, it can destroy, it can cleanse, it can baptize, it can renew, it can refresh, it gives life to seeds. I am often asked by those who actually take a moment to truly immerse themselves in understanding this space, these stories, the African American journey in its context, what we've lost, what we've gained, what we still have to do. And some ask, all of this seems so heavy. How do you hold it? To borrow and twist from a phrase of my mother's day, this ain't heavy, it's my history. If you don't know my story, you'll never understand my joy. So I will come to the end and flourish on the words that began our programs a day or so ago from the Reverend Howard John Wesley, who opened these celebrations at our worship service. And I will tell you, to understand how to carry all of this, we only need to know the price of this privilege. The price was the community that built African kingdoms, countries, and civilizations that adorn these origin stories. The price was the resolve that made some jump from those ships and the resolution that made others stay aboard. The price was the blood, sweat, and tears of rebellion and revolution against forces far greater than we could ever muster, against retribution far greater than anything we knew how to withstand in advance. The price has been paid and laid on battlefields, in courtrooms, in boardrooms, in restrooms, and oh yes, in classrooms. Oh yes, the price of privilege has always been high. But to know the price of this privilege is to know where the art comes from. Is to know why the songs move the way they do. To know the price of privilege is to understand why the drum beat sounds the same in the Low Country as it does in Kingston and Rio de Janeiro and in Accra. To know the price of this privilege is to yearn for and wallow in these stories. It is to be welcomed and embraced within these stories, no matter who you are or who your people be. To know the price of this privilege is to honor a human story, a people's story, my nation's story, the story of one of the most incredible journeys of all time, the African American story. And so we built a museum. The price of this privilege has designated everyone within the sound of my voice as story keeper. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the seeds have been planted. Let us till this soil. Welcome to the International African American Museum.